been a resident owner in the Watergate condominium complex that's located out on the Emeryville Peninsula. What I'm going to try and share with you this evening is some of the things that we've done as a multi-unit dwelling area that works us towards becoming a water-aware community. For those of you who don't know about Watergate, I wanted to start with a little bit of history. The complex was built in the mid-1970s on an area of about 24 acres, and it was heavily landscaped at the time that it was constructed. There are 6 buildings yielding 1,249 units, and there are roughly 2,700 people who live in the complex. We have a very diverse population that lives here at Watergate. We have owners who have been here since 1979 and have never been interested in going anywhere else. We have owners that just moved in last week. We have owners who live as far away as Greece, and they rent their units out. So we have a heavy mix, sometimes about 40-60 between tenants and resident owners who live here. And those folks have a very different perspective about how they want to see our landscape used. We also have a wide range of age groups in the property. We have older residents who want to walk down paths and look at pretty flowers, and we have parents who want a place for their children to run. We have 4 swimming pools, and we have 3 water features, and those are beloved by many people here and seen as an egregious waste of water by other folks. The biggest challenge to our water management is that our buildings only have bulk water meters on them. Each building is metered individually, but we do not have any metering on our individual units. And what that means is that it's impossible to assign accountability to an individual unit. And the only way that you can make changes in water usage and changes to adjust how you perceive what water needs are there is to get the community to work together. Change starts with a community for a community becoming aware of what the problem is. So back in 2015, in response to the drought mandates that were present at that time, management put together a water usage chart. And what they did was divide it up by the buildings, the individual buildings, and they calculated a number that's approximated each unit's average use. Again, this is all bulk metering, so it's all calculated. And the intent was a friendly competition during the drought to basically say, hey, maybe our building as a whole could use less water than their building. And that worked pretty well, just in terms of heads up for folks. In 2018, the use of the chart had kind of died out, and so it was restarted, but this time it was refined a little bit. We added totals. Fairly totals were added across all units. And the context of the chart changed a little bit to focus more on the financial impact that was occurring by excessive water use. Water is our HOA's single largest utility expense, and it is a big number. Once this chart was put into place, residents began making their own requests, and one was improving the visibility of actual unit usage. We have owners and residents recommending we switch to high-efficiency washers as our older washers die out, so we have been doing that. And we've had residents suggest that we start doing toilet leak tests on some of our older infrastructure. And so our management office has leak tests available for you. You get a non-permanent dye tablet, you drop it in your tank, you look to see if you see color in the bowl, and you've identified a leak that you can then repair with things. One of the things that I think change requires is some kind of positive outcome, some demonstrable positive outcome. And it's easier to make people accept a big change when they've seen some kind of positive change from something happening. So we have a greenbelt that runs through our property. It's about 1.5 blocks long. It's between 2 buildings. It has a lot of trees. And when it was first put in, these kidney-shaped beds were very green lawn, and it was beautiful. But by 2017, after several years of drought, the beds had turned into basically bark dust, and there was a lot of pressure to put something pretty back in. And so the landscape committee said, at that time, hey, let's put some drip irrigation in here and let's put in some water-wise or low water usage plants. There was some resistance to that, but the landscape committee prevailed because they just kept talking, and the chairman at that time was a very good educator. Everybody was pleased at the outcome. So what you're looking at is a bed from 2018 and a picture of the bed in 2024, where we have quite a lovely garden. And we have 2 of those beds in the greenbelt. So we took that positive outcome and we started building on that success And we talked to people about converting the other lawns on the property. People had seen how pretty this bed looked, and so we added another layer to the whole benefit package, which was, hey, this is a benefit to our pocketbook. So we picked a scruffy 1,300 square foot lawn in the courtyard, an inner courtyard of one of our buildings, and we used the EVMUD calculator, and we learned that that lawn used right around 46,000 gallons of water per year. And so this time we went through the lawn rebate program. But the more important aspect of this for our HOA community is we contacted those 45 owners that lived in those apartments surrounding basically what was their front yard. And we told them what we wanted to do, and we asked for their input. And the responses were both overall positive and were very, very personal. And I liked that part. Yes, we would like to see more flowers, just like the ones we're seeing down in the greenbelt beds. My granddaughter loves butterflies. I'm a bird watcher. I can't wait to see more birds. It will overall enhance our environment when we go out into the courtyard. And my personal favorite, we don't like the sound of lawnmowers. Importantly, during the project months, we kept in touch with the owners of the units. We told them ahead of time what was going to happen. We told them if there were going to be any project variations, just so they could stay in touch with everything. We even invited them down while our in-house landscape staff was doing things in the courtyard. Please come out to see what's going on. We started this process in 2022. June of 2023, we had a beautiful flower garden. But what I want to bring your attention to in terms of water saving is our native plant, low water use garden now with the pathway in it, lots of pollinators, uses 8,700 gallons of water a year. So we had a 37,000 gallon savings that we were looking at. We have a total of 8 courtyards like this. They both have 2 lawns in them with 2 chunks at either end of the courtyard, and that is a lot of potential water usage reduction that we're taking a look at. People are very happy with this lawn, and it has generated a lot of conversation about when can this happen in our courtyard. That's a very positive outcome for a community to be asking about these same kinds of things happening. During the time that the work was taking place in this courtyard, we wanted to keep people engaged in our demonstration beds that we put in the greenbelt. What we did was put up planting guides. This is a picture of the same bed I showed you earlier, just a few months after it had started growing the first spring. But the important part about this is we put up some plant guides. We made a card. Residents can pluck out a card and start to walk through the garden, identifying the plants that are there, learning about them, learning about the pollinators that they bring to us. When we first put this stuff in, I would be down in the garden doing things, and I would watch the residents talk with one another about, oh, did you see what's blooming over there? And hey, come over here and look at this plant. Isn't this a pretty color? While they had the guide in their hand. And I thought, that's great. People are enthusiastic about it. So if I fast forward to 2024, what do I say to myself? Is the community still engaged? Well, last April, I learned how engaged they were because I took out the guides and the markers so that I could do some refurbishment on them. They were out for about 2 weeks. During that time, I was approached by several residents who said to me, where are the plant guides? I had visitors. I wanted to take them on a garden tour. Another resident was, where are the plant guides? My kids are studying plant XYZ, and we wanted to come down and see what it looked like. So we're 2 years out from this 2 little tiny beds being planted, and the community is still engaged. They still ask questions about the water use in the gardens, and they notice that the maintenance people have less time and that they have to be engaged in the water. So I think that those things indicate a lot of success with community engagement. The 4th and final thing that I think change needs, or making a community accept water change, is that we need a community that's looking forward. You can't just look back at your successes, but you have to look forward to what's happening next. And what I see right now is, even though our landscape committee, we have a goodly long list of water projects that we want to engage in, but what we're beginning to see is our residents are asking us for these kinds of improvements. They point out to us where the lawn, they think the lawn needs to be replaced. They point out to us that where planting areas need to be augmented. They want to get in line for those kinds of changes, and they come up with some ideas about, well, could we save some water if we did this? And I think all of this is very, very positive, and I say that we are a community that is becoming water aware.